Hello students, welcome back. So last class we completed the chapter An Empire Across Three Continents. Today we will look into the notes and all the subtopics and the questions that can arise. You can be asked to explain the sources to understand Roman history. Roman historians have a rich collection of sources to study, which we can broadly divide into three groups: text, documents, and material remains. Textual sources include histories of the period written by contemporaries. These histories were normally called as annals because it was on a year-to-year basis. Then there were some letters, speeches, sermons, laws, etc. Documentary include inscriptions and papyri. Inscriptions were usually cut on a stone, and a large number have survived both in Greek as well as Latin. Material remains include a wide assortment of items, mainly archaeologists discover through excavation and field survey. They are buildings, monuments, and other kind of structures like pottery, coins, mosaics, and even the entire landscape. Papyrus and papyrologists. The papyrus was a reed-like plant that grew along the banks of Nile in Egypt, and it was processed to produce a writing material that was widely used in everyday life. Okay, so this was a kind of a plant that grew on the banks of Nile, and it produced the writing material, and it was widely popular. It was high in demand because it was used in everyday life. Thousands of contracts, accounts, letters, and official documents have survived on papyrus, and they have been published by scholars who are called papyrologists. What were the boundaries of the Roman Empire? To the north, the empire boundaries were formed by two great rivers, the Rhine and the Danube. To the south, there's a huge expanse of desert, the Sahara Desert. To the east, it's the river Euphrates, and to the west, it's the Atlantic Ocean. This vast stretch of territory was the Roman Empire. This is why Roman Empire is called an empire across three continents. The Mediterranean Sea is the heart of Rome's empire. Division of Roman Empire. Roman Empire was divided into two phases, early and late. It was divided by the 3rd century as a sort of historical watershed between them. Whole period from the beginning of Rome to the main part of 3rd century was called Early Empire, and the period from 3rd century to the end is called the Late Empire. What about the political history? The Roman Empire was a mosaic of territories and cultures that were chiefly bound together by a common system of government. All those who lived in the empire were subjected to a single ruler, that was the emperor, but they could follow different cultures, religions, languages, and races. But they all had to agree or accept a single ruler, that was the emperor. Many languages were spoken in the empire, but for administration purpose, only two languages were widely used, and they were the only official languages, that is Latin and Greek. Augustus, he was the first emperor who established monarchy in 27 BCE. He was also called the Principate. Augustus was the sole ruler and only real source of authority. Still, there was a fiction that was kept alive that he was the only leading citizen. and he was not the absolute ruler. This was done for the respect of the Senate. Now, Senate was a body which had earlier controlled Rome when it was a republic. The Senate existed in Rome for centuries and had been and remained a body representing the aristocracy, that is, the wealthiest families of Rome, and later Italian descent, mainly the landowners. These became a part of the Senate. They were the wealthiest people of the Rome. Next to the empire and the Senate, the other institutional rule was the army. Now, Roman, they had a paid and professional army. Here, the soldiers had to work for at least minimum 25 years of service. Their army was the largest single organized body, and it had 6 lakh soldiers in the 4th century. Okay, the soldiers would constantly agitate for better wages and service conditions, and these agitations often took form of mutiny. The emperor, the aristocracy, and the army, these were the three main players in the political history of the empire. The success of individual emperors heavily depended on their control of the army. And when the armies were divided, it normally or usually resulted in a civil war. One year, there were 4 emperors that mounted the throne in quick succession, and the first 2 centuries were completely free of civil war. External warfare was also very less common in the first 2 centuries. The empire that was inherited by Tiberius from Augustus was very vast, and he felt no need to expand it any further. The only campaign for expansion was Trajan's futile occupation of the territory across Euphrates, and this was also abandoned by the successor. Now, Roman Empire had 2 types of territories: dependent kingdom and provincial territory. The Near East was full of dependent kingdoms, but they disappeared and they were swallowed by Rome. These kingdoms were exceedingly wealthy. There was Herod's kingdom that yielded 5.4 million denarii per year, that equals to around 125,000 kg of gold in today's world. Imagine that much money every year. A city in Rome Empire was an urban center. It had its own magistrates, city council, and a territory containing villages which were under its jurisdiction. One city could not be in the territory of another city, but villages could be in the territory of cities. Villages could also be upgraded to the status of cities, and cities could also be downgraded to the status of villages. Okay, this was normally marked as an imperial favor. One advantage of living in the city was essential commodities were better provided for, especially during food shortages and famines. Then it was provided for in the countryside. Public baths, they were a very striking feature of the Roman urban life, and the urban populations enjoyed a much higher level of entertainment. There is a calendar that tells us that shows that is spectacular was filled for 176 days of an entire year. So that means the entertainment level was very, very high. the 3rd century size crisis. From 230, the Roman Empire found itself fighting on several fronts simultaneously. In Iran, an aggressive dynasty emerged in 225, and these were called the Sasanians. Within 50 years, the Sasanians expanded rapidly in the direction of Euphrates, and Shahapur I, that is the Iranian ruler, he claimed he had annihilated a Roman army of 60,000 and even captured the eastern capital of Antioch. On the other hand, a whole series of Germanic tribes, or you can say tribal confederacies, they began to move against the Rhine and Danube frontiers. And the whole period from 233 to 280 saw repeated invasions. The Romans were forced to abandon much of their territory beyond Danube, and the rapid succession of emperors in that sense in the 3rd century was an obvious symptom of strains that was faced by the emperors in that period. That means even internally, Rome had begun to break. What were the gender roles in the Roman Empire? One of another modern features of the Roman society was the prevalence of nuclear family. That means an adult son did not live with their families, and it was exceptional for the elder brother to share a common household. Slaves were included in the family. The typical form of marriage was where the wife did not transfer to the husband's authority. She retained full right to the property of her father's family. The woman's dowry went to the husband, but only for the duration of the marriage. The woman remained the primary heir of her father, and she also became an independent property owner upon her father's death. Marriages were generally arranged, and women were often subjected to domination by their husbands. Women married in their late 20s or early 30s. Women were married off in the late teens or early 20s also. So males married in the late 20s and early 30s, and women married in the late teens or early 20s. So there was an age gap between the husband and the wife, and so there was a certain inequality between the two. Divorce was relatively easy, and it needed not more than a notice of intent to dissolve the marriage by either husband or wife. There is Augustine, who was a great Catholic bishop, who tells that his mother was regularly beaten by his father, and also most of the wives in the town where he had grown up had similar bruises on their bodies. That means the husbands would occasionally or maybe regularly hit their wives. The fathers had substantial legal control of their children up till the degree that legal power of life and death was with him, and exposing unwanted children by leaving them out in the cold to die. The fathers had this authority of life and death of their children. Speaking about the literacy in Roman, it is certain that the rates of casual literacy varied greatly between different parts of the empire. In Pompeii, which was buried in the volcanic eruption, there is a strong evidence of widespread casual literacy. Casual literacy is everyday reading, writing, what you require. Walls on the main street of Pompeii often carried graffiti and advertisements all over the city. In contrast, in Egypt, where we have found hundreds of papyri have survived, most formal documents and contracts were written by professional scribes, and these scribes have written that X or Y is unable to read and write. So in Egypt, there were only the scribe class who could read and write, whereas in Pompeii, there is a widespread of literacy, and almost everyone had the casual literacy of reading and writing. Even here, the literacy was certainly more widespread among certain categories like soldiers, army officers, and estate managers. Plurality of language that was spoken in Roman Empire. They were Aramic, Coptic, Punic, Berber, and Celtic. But many of these linguistic cultures were purely oral. They were only spoken. Unless and until a script was invented for them, when then you could write in it. So till a script was not invented, they were purely oral. Armenian began to be written as late as the 5th century. Okay, so this I'm going to end over here now. All these notes you can write down in your notebooks, or if you all have already written, write down the points that were missing and you find important, or you all can also mark these in your textbooks. You don't necessarily need to write them down. We have stopped at literacy. We will continue from here next class. Till then, stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning.